Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself for your Friday night fix of the Rangers Radio is AK, and our legend it is, the Bridgeman. Evening, AK.
Evening, Rob. Evening, Bridgeman, the techie team and everybody that's listening.
Evening, Bridgeman.
Oh, good evening, Robert, and AK, of course, and the techie boys in the background. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans that are listening in all over the world, massive games coming up, guys. Massive game coming up, but tonight, welcome to Rangers Radio.
Yes, good evening. Good evening to you both. Hope you're well. AK, obviously, Bridge was on last night, and I was done the game on Wednesday night, mate. So we've gave our thoughts on the Wednesday night's performance. What's your take on the game itself, first of all, mate? And then I'll have a second question for you, which I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear what it is. But what's your thoughts on the game and the performance, mate? And of course, the result.
Yeah, first and foremost, it's a great 3 points. Goal aggregate was good as well, winning 5-1, comprehensive victory. So would I took that every day of the week? The kind of mitigating factor is obviously with Hearts stumbling in Paisley, and obviously the Celtic game went off, gave us an opportunity there to make a mark and make a wee bit of ground up. Hearts herself and put us into second place there. Tucked in right behind Hearts and just breathing down their neck. So all in all, a great night for Glasgow Rangers.
They stand out for you, mate? Obviously, more so probably in the second half than the first half in particular. They stand out for you who seem to catch the eye?
Mikey Moore, different class. I thought the boy was. It just, for the early stages of the game, Rob, I think everybody's kind of touched on it. He just seemed up for it. He was lively. He was looking for the ball, to get on the ball, looking for movement, looking to take the opponent on and drive into the box, and just looking to make things happen. And that's what we're looking for off most players, particularly in the attacking third of the field. But taking responsibility for, you've got to remember that the age of the boy, he's grew up in a short space of time. He's been out of the club, you know, the first few weeks, few months even under Russell Martin, he was shoved out in the left and he wasn't getting involved in the game, and the crowd was a wee bit anxious because what have we got here? A young boy, how's he going to improve us? But I think that the young man's grew up very quickly and learned to appreciate the surroundings that he's in and the platform that he's on, and wearing our jersey. He'll certainly, whatever he does with the rest of his career, Rob, he'll use this and use it well. Just the same as, like, say, Cristiano Ronaldo with Man United, always went up the levels and stuff. I'm not going to say he's as good as that, but the way he's starting to perform now, you can see why Spurs have invested so heavily in him. And England's obviously keeping an eye on him as well. So very impressed with Mikey Moore. I thought Diamandi was pretty good as well. Wasn't much, obviously, first half, going to speak of, but certainly the subs coming on there. Romans was particularly good, you know, and Miovski scores a good goal, and Ant-Man gets a goal as well. So all in all, a good night. You couldn't really complain about that for me.
No, you're right, mate. You're right. Obviously, the first half was frustrating. Obviously, for a lot of support. And of course, there was a reaction at half-time, which I know you've got a view on as well, mate. Again, myself and Bridge have spoke about it in the past shows, but what was your take on the reaction at half-time, and also the discussions that have been in place since then for some minority of fans to boo the players off the park at half-time whilst winning 1-0?
Well, listen, I heard Big Stevie and Southside on the show last night in Oxshire as well. Couldn't understand the reaction, that section of support. But why are you doing that? What are you expecting out of this Rangers team? Aye, we didn't play particularly great, but we're winning. We've put ourselves in a position there that we didn't dream that we were going to be in. You know, when Danny Rowe came into the club in the first place, Rangers were sitting in 8th. We'd only, 9 points, I think it was. Was it 6 draws, a victory and a loss, before Danny Rowe took up the reins? So we were 13 points behind Hearts. We were 9 points behind Celtic. We looked at the squad and we were just going, no, this is all wrong. You know, and Andrew Kavanagh, to be fair to him, he's owned it. He's took responsibility for his actions and realised that, nah, sorry, Russell Martin, you have to go. I need to go a different direction here. And the recruited role in as manager, Nene's really knew the pedigree or the credentials that he brought to the job, but thought, young manager, this could be a bit dodgy as well. But eventually, he started, you know, to get kind of performances, well, more so results than performances out of individual players. But I think as the results have came, the confidences came with the team, and players, certain players have stepped up, others have been left behind a wee bit, and they need to buck up their ideas, i.e. Asgard and Gassama, for what we're seeing. But all in all, all the players seem to have bought into his ideas, certainly the recruitment. Andrew Kavanagh's backed him in the transfer market. So Andrew Kavanagh's done his bit, Danny Rowe's done his bit. It's up to the support now to get behind this, because we're in danger here, letting this slip away again. We've seen this movie before under Gio and under Clement, where we've got ourselves in a right good position, and then it's the pressure for the crowd on the players, and it's feeding onto the park. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and that's why for me, Asgard and Gassama aren't playing as well as what we expect them to. But it's also up to them. They need to grow up. It's their character that needs to, you know, evolve and take it, because this is the platform that they're playing in, the environment they're playing in. But when you look at it and you break it down, 17 games, Danny Rowe's now come in as manager, 13 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. We've bypassed Celtic. We're right on Hearts' tail. Why are we booing? That's just going to be a total negative, totally counteract all the positivity that surrounded the club since Danny Rowe came in. So for me, it's a no-no, absolute no-no. You watch across the other end of the city there, they're up in arms, their self-entitlement. They think they're just turning up to win trophies, to win leagues, to win games. And because they don't get it all their own way, they're dummies out the pram. They can't get their Green Brigade in there. They're up in arms with directors, recruitment, blah, blah, blah. Their club's falling to bits. We've been there. We're now in a real strong position. So, nah, see all the negativity, all the criticism, leave it at the door. Get behind the team. Be patient. And I think Danny Rowe, for me anyway, he's earned the trust of the support. So get behind them. Just leave the negativity out of it where it should belong.
Aye, listen, mate, I think you're saying things that we're all on here get the same opinion. Bridgeman, I know you spoke about it last night. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but the common sense approach would be to do the famous Ibrox roar at half time when you're 1-0 up, roll the team on to go and deliver in the second half, which they did do on Wednesday night. Let's not take that away from them. They did go and deliver and get some goals in the game and a dominant performance, second half in particular, Bridge. But AK's right. Forget the booing. Let's just drive this team and this management onto success, because we have came so far and there's only so little games left when you think about it in the context of football. But we're in a position now that we need to just roll the team on from the stands, from home to success, because we play a big part in this.
Yeah, but we've obviously got a problem insofar as the fans are concerned. I'm not saying all the fans, but there's a group of fans that are causing a wee bit problem and booing the players, but because they're dissatisfied with the performance, maybe at individual level. But I don't think it's necessarily the whole team. But unfortunately, it becomes the whole team when they're booing them off the park. So I think I want our club to take cognizance this problem and get it resolved. And if that means talking to the fans to find out what on earth it is that's wrong with them, I speak to the manager, get a grip somewhere along the line, get a representation for the fans. We know among the fans that are booing, so it's no good just getting ordinary fans in like possibly like me, because I don't know why they're booing, other than they're upset about something and maybe the performance is crap or whatever, and we all can see it. But I just think it's unforgivable to boo the team off the park at any time, particularly at home. I just think it's unbelievable. And we want to get 50,000 fans in that park, or 40,000 in, whatever it is we get them in, get the place packed to it and play decent football. And that's the first thing I've got to say that the board and the manager and the coaches need to take cognizance of. We must play good football. No, if we get a meeting with all these people and they turn around and say to us, well, we think you got 3 or 4 players there that don't seem to be trying a lick, and we're getting played off the park with 10 men, which unfortunately was happening at points in the first half. We have to have an answer to it. We have to have an answer. We must be able to answer the fans in some way, and not just walk away and say, well, they're being impossible. They're not being impossible if they feel they've got a gripe. So you need to look at the gripe and see what it is, and can it be resolved? Can it be resolved? It's just for saying sake. You mentioned, I think it was AK. I mentioned it. You've got 2 players in particular. You've got the Gas man, and Asgard. They don't seem to be playing that great. And you can add another one in there. I can't remember his name right at this moment. And they don't seem to be playing too well. Well, what are we going to do? You want to experiment and say, let's just drop them? We'll put somebody else in their place? Well, that's a suggestion. Let's go in and do that and see what happens. And then you might find there's a dip somewhere else. We have to get this right for the fans and the club. That's what matters. The fans in the club. So the board need to do that. Everybody I know everybody I speak to on here, we've all said it, and we can all criticise the players because that's what we feel we're doing. We've got a wee organisation here that allows us to critique the players to the best of our ability without killing them, And I don't want to kill any Rangers player nor any Rangers fan, but I do want the ones that are booing to stop, and we must persuade them that it's the wrong thing to do, and it's just causing negative feelings within the dressing room, and they have to get them to stop it. Now, if they have to go to the ultimate and say, right, yeah, we know who they are, let's find out who they are and ban them, just ban them, then you're going down a road that I think that the club across the city has done that a number of times with a number of players, particularly their famous Green Brigade. They've done that a number of times, and it hasn't helped them at all. We need to be able to find out what it is and see if we can get it resolved. How do you make the fans happy? Win games and score goals. That's what you got to do, and the players need to get that into their mind, and that can only come from the training ground, from the coaches and the manager. Get them in there and get it sorted. They need to do it. They need to come out and play right away from the start, 100%. Get in there, and what you find is halfway through the first half, before you know it, they're having a couple of chances. The opposition have a couple of chances, could have scored, and sometimes they do score, and then we're really struggling because we haven't started right. We need to get all that sorted. The fans, the only people that can tell them, the guys that are booing, if they stand up and tell the manager and whatever it is, representatives that are in there, go and tell them what the score is, what's on your mind. People like the Bridgeman here can turn and say, I would have a good idea what's on their mind, but I can't speak for them. I can only speak for myself and some of the guys on here that might agree with me. And I'd like to be able to say to our senior managers and executives, we want to be exemplary both on and off the park. We don't want any problems in the stadium. The stadium's too good a stadium. We want it to be right for the fans. All the Rangers fans everywhere, all over the world, are going to be watching us. And when they watch us, they want to be able to cheer good football and good goals. That's what we want.
I think it's important, Bridge and AK, that we obviously mention it. It's only a minority of the support that booed. The most of the support were behind the team from the get-go and continued throughout the 90 minutes. And as you touched on, AK, it's a minority of players as well that maybe I just feeling the pressures, and they've got to learn that these are the pressures that come with wearing their jersey, mate. The rest of the team have showed real character over the past few months since Danny Rule came in particular, as you mentioned, mate. To go from October to where we are now, the players deserve immense credit for that. But there is still a select few in there that still need to sharpen up a few bits in their performances and the mentality and handle this pressure. But listen, we'll move on from it. As I said, we don't want to dwell too much on it. We've heard it, we've spoke about it, and hopefully going forward, every single supporter that attends the games get right behind the team. As we said, it's a minority that's echoed their thoughts at half time. But what we'll do, we'll get the phone lines open.
Rob,
There you go, mate.
Rob, sorry, just a wee sec before you move on for it. Listen, I know we've all had our say, we've all had our piece. There'll be out there, people out there saying otherwise, you know, but obviously it's annoyed Danny Rowe, it's annoyed Stevie Smith. They're speaking it in their press conferences, so, you know, that's something that we could do without. So why bring it to the party anyway? You know, just leave it at the door, get behind the team. We're on some run. 42 points Danny Rowe's picked up out of 51. We only dropped 9 points, you know, in the 17 games. And I think Russell Martin had dropped about 15 points in his first 7 games, you know. So I think we're just going to realise where we are, the position that we're in, and let's not start arguing and bickering with each other because they don't think, or they think that we should be winning 2-3-4-0 at half time because Kilmarnock are down to 10 men. It doesn't work like that. You need to earn the right. But the new guys coming on in the second half, they certainly upped the tempo, up the standard of playing, and then the goals came. So that was going to be like that, mate.
Aye, of course, the team's got to do something as well for the fans to cheer. It comes in hand almost. The fans have got to give the players something, but the players have got to give the fans something to react to as well. And when we're playing well, when we're winning comfortably, then it's a feel-good factor. As you say, we're on a good run at the moment. So let's keep it going. Let's get behind the team, because in a few months' time, we could be title holders, and you never thought that would have been possible back in October. So we'll get the phone lines opened for anybody who wants to phone in. So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yes, come join us, give us your thoughts on everything in Rangers. Any questions you want to put to the guys, we'll put them on the spot. We'll touch on the game at the weekend coming up against Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup, more so in the second half. But I just want to get your guys' take on the squad depth. Obviously, the transfer window shut on Monday night. We've made 4 additions to the squad that was there when Danny Rule came in. We've had a few exits. But since the summer, would you believe that we've had 17 arrivals, 18 if you count Cortez as a permanent, but 17 arrivals and 24 departures over 2 transfer windows. So we've managed to get a few off the books. AK that we've said for a few months they should be moving on to pastures new, and we've obviously brought some players in key areas. So Andrew Cavan, as you said, rectified the problem by removing Russell Martin, get rid of Stewart and Thelwell, and he's backed Danny Rule to the hill this January window to try and get a title over the line.
Of course, listen, I think it's been badly needed. We've done it in fits and starts the last few years, but I think that's down to the lack of finance that our board had to stump up. You know, and then we weren't recruiting well under Michael Beale. Clermont and Coppin seem to have got some good quality additions in that we've since sold, i.e. Yefty and Igaman. Obviously Dessers wasn't one of theirs, but we got some decent money for him. Ridvan and that, you know, we've had to do a lot of wheeling and dealing and reevaluating the squad where we're going. And I think, you know, whether you think they've done good work or no, probably no. But Thelwell and that had some sort of blueprint where they could say, right, well, these guys could come in and make a difference. But the problem for them is the coaching standard wasn't good enough, because obviously Danny Rose came in there with the same players in their night and day for what Russell Martin was getting a tune out of. But then they've had to have a rethink again, going back to Andrew Kavanagh, and it's all down to trust, and it's all down to the results, and see how the players have kind of adapted to Danny Rowe's style, and every one of them seemed to have bought into it. So he's gave them again funds to kick on. He sees the golden egg at the end of the season with potential Champions League at the end of it. Here's hoping it is. But there's a lot of young guys been brought in. There's a lot of physicality been brought in. There's a lot of height been brought in. And I think he's recognised that the league that we're playing in isn't all about skill and, you know, one-touch stuff and all that. We guys, you're not going to get away with that. It's physical, it's fast, it's furious, and you've got to have players be robust enough to play the amount of games that they're asking. So I think when the prizes are gave out at the end of the season, I'll give you a finalised whether it's an 8 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. But so far, so good, I would say, on paper, mate.
Bridgeman, it's some turnaround, isn't it, from where we finished the season last year to this moment in time that we've had the amount of departures, as I said, 24, possibly rising to 25. I know the Matondo, there's still talks about what happens with him in his future, probably going to be elsewhere, not at Rangers, but whether that's another club or release from his contract, and he's only got until May or June. But 24 players departure over 2 windows, Bridge, is some recovery and kind of recycling of players that have maybe been there too long and others that have just not cut it.
Well, it tells you itself. That's a story in itself, and I'm sure that every Rangers fan that ever thinks about this would say that the amount of dross, shall we say, I'll use this in a bad way initially, the amount of dross that we've been carrying, of course, is a fortune, an absolute fortune. And there's maybe 3 or 4 players in there that are fully to blame for the situation the Rangers find themselves in there. I would suggest 3 or 4, maybe 5, and because they really and truly never put their boots on at all. And when they did, it was just to show, try and get a transfer or whatever. And unfortunately, for all the managers that had these players, I'm afraid it just didn't work out. And I think this boy, Danny Rowe, has come in, and I think he's done a fabulous job for the Rangers, an absolutely fabulous job. He doesn't think of any other club. He only thinks about the Rangers in a very positive way. And everybody that's associated with Rangers now should and probably do give 100% thank you to Danny Rowe for what he's done. He's turned the club around in a very, very short period. Very short period. We've had some smashing managers in our recent past that just couldn't cut it because of whatever was going on at board level, lack of money, put it down to whatever you want, but just couldn't cut it. So we've had some really good managers that came through our door and didn't last. This young lad has come in. I'm calling him a young lad because I'm a lot older than him. So a young man, he's came in and he's going to learn. He's been learning and he's going to continue learning. And with all the luck in the world that the Rangers fans can make sure he gets it, he'll take us places. And he's got a fabulous opportunity this season. We've had a fabulous opportunity to take a hold of the league, and we played badly. And that a lot of folk are putting that down to the players' attitude, and that's why you're getting some discontent, I would imagine, in the fans. So we need to get rid of the attitude. Somehow or other, need to get rid of the attitude. Let the players go if they're going to do it. You're talking about Matondo there. Look, the chap's hardly kicked a ball for Rangers in 2 seasons, and that's the truth. And the best thing that could happen to him, well, as far as we're concerned anyway, is go. Just go, and even if you have to pay, just go. But you never know. There might be some miracle going to happen. Somebody's going to come in and give Rangers £100 million to take them over our hands. I don't see that happening, of course. But the players like him that are hanging around, this man's starting to cut away the deadwoods. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be just deadwood. And he's starting to cut them away and make room for better players to come in. And that's what we're looking for, is the better players to come in. And this manager is going to do it. I hope in my heart And I hope in every Rangers fans' heart that we're all hoping that this manager gets us the league this season. And to do that is going to take a wee bit of a miracle, because we've faltered a wee couple of times, but he's picking us back up again, and we got a fabulous result the other night. Utterly fabulous, considering how badly we played in the first half. And just night and day conversion, night and day. So the manager, for me, 100%, and he's going to carry us. A big job, huge job. And he's got some good assistants, coaching and so on and so forth beside him. They'll carry him through there as well. So he doesn't need to go far to look for support. All he needs to do is look up in the Copeland Road. There's full of support for him. That's all he needs to do. Look all over the season, the stadium, of course. But the Bridgeman, when he's there, he'd be shouting and bawling for him. I absolutely love him. I think he's brilliant.
He certainly brought a freshness to the squad, doesn't he? AK's a real freshness and a real belief as well in the players. Mentality is one thing. It's been questioned a lot over a number of years with some of these players. Obviously at the start of the season as well, a lot of question marks, particularly over the ones that did arrive in the summer. But he just seems to have got them clicking together. Now, whether that performance is over 90 minutes or an hour, if you break it down over the 90-minute game, but end result is, mate, he's getting results. The stats don't lie. The points are on the board.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. I mean, whether you agree with Danny Rowe's tactics, his formation, his selections, his recruitment, whatever, and there's plenty of question marks out there on forums and podcasts, which we're entitled to do. You know, we're all supporters, but I think the end goal is, or it should be, we all want to see Rangers winning the title. We all want to see Rangers winning trophies. And that's very much in the remit for Danny Rowe and Andrew Kavanagh. They both want to see us successful, and the players are coming to Rangers to be successful, but they've got to handle the elements, they've got to handle everything that's getting thrown at them. And as I say, that there's a lot of young guys in this team. And that was different these days. You know, the environment all around about it is different. Players would read papers about certain journalists would say about them. They would get marks out of 10. Most of them would be confined to round the table at the pub, talking to your pals about how the game went. Now everything's electronic. It's right away. It's there on social media. It's there on Rangers platforms, pages, podcasts. It's you know, there's plenty of good ones out there. There's plenty of rotten ones out there, I know, but but everybody is entitled to their opinion, and that's what social media gives you. It gives you your opinion, and some of it can be a wee bit draining when it's constant criticism, it's constant negativity, even though we're on a winning run. Do we want to be playing like Brazil every week? Of course we do. But it's Scottish football, the parts, the weather, the elements, the opposition don't allow you to do that. I watched the game the other night with St Mirren and Hearts, and St Mirren were just, my dad says, all blood and snorters. You know, it's just getting in about them. It's just been physical. Don't allow the better players on the ball. Don't allow them to play their game. And that's what a lot of factors come down in kind of Scottish football. And it's the same all around the world. It's all very well having the EPL as, you know, the main stage, and your La Liga and your Italian Serie A and all that. But you've got lower leagues in all the countries. And I guarantee you, all the lower league teams will be all just about desire and getting stuck in, and that's your grounding, that's your start to being a football player. But you've got to match that when you come up against it, and I think a lot of our players have been caught short with that, because they're coming up here with like Joe Rothwell, for instance, and Joey Barton in previous years, and all they think because they're starting at a higher level, they've got to come up here and cruise it. They're no. Terry Butcher would tell you that when he came in here initially, even Gascoigne and the real good players. Barry Ferguson turns round to Ronald de Boer and says to him, "You've got 10 minutes to prove yourself." What do you mean? I've played in a World Cup, I've won a European Cup. It doesn't matter. That Rangers support will judge you, and you better be good to show them. So that's what they're facing. Listen, I share the frustrations with some of what we're watching, but I'll certainly not lambast the team and boo them off when we're in a winning position and we've got a good sort of connection there again. So please be patient and bear with them. They're all paying good money all day, season ticket holders, but I tell you, You've seen the reaction the team can get. The crowd basically took us to a European final. That's how vital that home crowd is. The away support is tremendous. They get behind the team for the first minute to the last. So I'm asking the Rangers support, the home Rangers support, to get behind them and keep it positive, because if we do that, there's no stopping us. Celtic are falling apart, and Hearts are going to, injuries I think are going to catch up with them, but it's up to us and it's all about our results.
That's it, mate. The focus is all on us and what we do by game, and play the game that's in front of you, play the opposition that's in front of you, and just do enough to win the games. Might be pretty, it might be ugly, but if you win ugly, then you're taking 3 points home at the end of the day. So, as I said, we'll look at the squad depth, guys. Obviously, the window's shut, so the squad is going forward where it's going to be until the summer. We'll take each position, and I'll get your thoughts on, for you, who do you see being the kind of first choice going forward between now and the end of the season, or if you think there'll be rotation involved? We'll base it on a 4-2-3-1, if you don't mind, just because that's kind of the formation Danny Rose favoured in the past few weeks. Not to say there might be some changes ahead with personnel that's come in the door. But if you take the first of all goalkeeper, you've got Jack Butland, Liam Kelly, Kieran Wright and Ryden Maguire, 2 young boys there. Safe to say for yourself, Bridge, enough depth there, enough quality there, and Butland's a starter?
Well, yeah, but he's my starter every time, you know. If you want to just start there, I'm for him at the moment. Unless we can go out and buy a better keeper, then I must admit a massive blunder by our goalkeeper. So that's 2 weeks in a row over the major mistakes by our goalkeeper. So what can we say? But he's still our best goalkeeper, without a doubt.
AK, for you, enough depth there, enough quality, still Butland?
We don't know a hell of a lot about the 2 youngsters, but they're not going to be first team action anytime soon, I wouldn't think. Kelly's a good understudy for Butland, but yeah, Butland's been our main man. We can't be overly critical. I know it was a terrible error, the same at Tynecastle, but earlier in the season, by God, Butland saved us some drubbings and stuff, so he's an adequate goalkeeper, certainly for this season. Is the answer going forward? Only time will tell. But certainly, Butland's the number 1 keeper at Rangers.
I think Liam Kelly's out of contract in the summer, if I remember right. So I'd imagine there will be some movement within the goalkeeping department come the summer, unless they extend Kelly's contract. If I'm right in saying he's out of contract. But moving on to right back, AK.
Extend, Robert. Keep a Kelly in the team.
just for name purposes alone.
Exactly.
AK, stick with yourself first, mate. Moving to right back, Tavernier, Sterling and Aarons. Enough depth for you, mate? And from here on in, when all fit and unavailable, who's your starting right back, in your opinion?
Oh, geez. I think there's flaws in other games. It's not so much, Tavernier's numbers has been outstanding over the years. They're not denying that, but he's getting older. His defensive deficiencies is still apparent, and he's not able to get back as quickly as what he could. But going forward, he's still the best right back that we've got. His delivery is still there to whip a ball in. Maybe no for a corner or a set piece any longer. I think we've got better options there now, to be honest with you. Since he's come off them, I think we've scored probably more goals. But as a guy running onto a ball and whipping the ball across, I think that Tav's delivery is still the best out the 3 of them. Sterling is just made of chocolate. Unfortunately for him, he's unreliable. I think he's got all the attributes to be that number 1 kind of right back, but he's unreliable. And Aaron's just he's been a disappointment. For the wages he's on, he's not our player anyway. He'll get returned in the summertime. Who would I start now? If Sterling's fit, I think Sterling's our best right back, but I think he'll probably go with Tavernier for most of the season, probably depending on more on Sterling's availability. Aarons is reliable, I suppose, but he doesn't offer the same offensive threat as what Tavernier does.
Bridgman.
I can't say too much different from what AK's just said. I do, unfortunately for us, we've got a number of right backs available, or people available to play right back, but I don't think any of them are what we would call Rangers quality right back at the present moment. I think Tav is probably the most experienced we've got, and I dare say our manager will depend on Tav. There will be games when he thinks it's going to be too tough, and give Tav a rest and put Big Sterling in, or even the small guy there. What's he? Aarons, isn't it? Aarons. I don't see Aarons being at Rangers. He's a loan player, isn't he? He's a loan.
Yep, he'll go back to Bournemouth in the summer.
I don't think he'll be with us next season, unless something absolutely miraculous happens with his game. But I think Tav, they'll lean on Tav and what did they call him? Chocolate legs or something like that.
Sterling chocolate.
Sterling chocolate. Well, what we need is someone like Sterling with height, build, ability to head the ball, strength, but he must get to the ball first. His problem is he ends up stretching and really stretching and causes faults and clashes. His two tackles too late. These kind of things are happening to him, and that's just a sort of match fitness thing. Once his legs get back in and come to him, get him up the park a wee bit, he'll start to show, and he gets a bit of running down the wing. He'll start to show again, because he was a good player for us. Unfortunately, the injury. Now, he might still be injury prone for the rest of his career, for all I know. But I think you give him a chance to get himself fit. Unfortunately, that would mean you've got to play him. So he can maybe go one half with Sterling, and then in the second half we'll go with Tav. Something like that to get us to the end of the season in good form. That's what we need.
All right. So for me, I would have a full fit and available. I'd have John Sterling there. As much as I don't think it's his strongest position, I'd have John Sterling there, just with the pace and power and the strength he can have. And you've got rotational options with Tav and Aarons. That's just my take on it. Centre backs, it's Suter, Giga, Fernandes, and Cornelius. For me, the strongest pairing I've seen this season would probably be Suter and Fernandes. Do you agree with that, Bridge?
I'm not dead sure. I'm not dead sure. I think Suter's a good blocker. He leaves himself stuck up top and can't get back. He just doesn't have the pace to get back. I think he does his turn. Don't get me wrong. I'm not wanting to criticise him too much. I say he gets himself back when he gets back, and he makes marvellous blocks when there's nobody else there. And I think Fernandes is the best centre half we've got. If he can just get his proper head on when he's heading the ball, it'll make a big difference, because he's got what I call a 50-pence head with these corners on it. So he needs to get that right, and he needs to get toughen up as he goes along. He's a big fella. He can cope with that, because the people are attacking him two at a time, and he's got to get himself in the right position and throw them off the way, you know. So I would go with definitely Fernandes. I think knowing that Giga is not going to be here past the end of the season, I think you would probably give preference to Suter. But then Suter is finishing up at the end of the season. I'm led to believe he won't be at Rangers next season. I just don't know what's going to happen with him.
There's a contract offer being made there for him, Bridge, to extend it. There's a contract offer.
Have we made an offer to him?
I believe it's been on the table for some time, mate. I think it's just about timing, waiting a decision for it.
Well, we know he's not the fittest person in the whole world, and he gets injured quite a lot, I must admit. For a centre half playing such a key part of a championship running team, then we need somebody who's going to be a bit better. I thought Giga isn't bad fitness wise. I don't think he's a true centre half, and that's no offence to the guy. I just don't think so. However, you might play him 4 or 5 times up to the end of the season here. He might get 4 or 5, and he looks good. I don't know. I just don't see him being good that way. I see him again, nice tackling and things like that. But for a guy his size, he's not as strong in the air as Fernandez is, and that's a pity. And even Suter isn't that good in the air now, because a lot of the teams have brought big fellas in, and they're good at jumping. Some of them, you know. So we got out jumped. We need to get our defence and get our defence right. And the 2 people in the defence that's going to make things happen for them, from a defensive perspective, is the 2 centre halves, and we have to get it right. And for me, Sterling, if he's injured, if he's not injured, Sterling the number 1 centre half for me, and he goes in. And I would imagine the manager's going to go with Suter.
All right, mate. AK?
I'll keep it short. I think Fernandez and Suter, that's our first 2 picks.
I'm in the same boat, mate. I think Suter's experience, I said it to Ox the other week there, that Fernandez looks a lot more comfortable playing next to Suter. We know he's got some moments in him that gives you heart palpitations, but he's growing and he's developing. And they're 2 players, as Bridge you've touched on, 2 players that are likely to be there next season. The other 2 have got loan options. Giga's not got the option to buy, but Cornelius has. But injury impact may prevent anything happening in the future. Left back,
is he even available, Robert? Is he even available at the moment?
he's back in training, mate. But he's
That's
a
it.
long way to go until he's actually back in the full contact training. But he's back on the grass doing individual work. So might
Cultured
as well
left
see
foot
him
he's
later
got.
on.
Cultured left foot.
Aye, because there's a good balance in there when he does play and he's experienced. But we'll see what happens over the coming weeks for him, mate. But he is back on the rehab individual training programme on the grass. Left back, AK. Obviously, we've seen Romans for the first night the other night. A lot of people quite impressed with the cameo he done, getting forward. Seems a good athlete. Time will tell how good he is defensively when we actually see him in a proper game. But you've got Romans and Magoma, 1 permanent, 1 on loan. What's your thoughts at left back?
Well, first and foremost, I think young Jaden Magoma has performed really, really well. Dodgy moments early in his career, but he's just getting used to the environment as a young man. But he settled into that role really well, so much so that we've not even really questioned his selection. Not that he's had any competition, but now he's got competition, and now he'll decide. Daniel's got a decision to make there. Romans, for what we've seen him just the other night, even though it was up against 10 men and we're at home and stuff, but they looked a real good player there, mate. And he's our player, Magoma, isn't he? So for me, Romans, I think, will cement that position going into the last 8-9 games of the season, I would think.
I'm in the same camp, mate. For me, it's Romans, simply because he's a player you're building for the future there as well. But what I will say is you've got a steady made replacement in young Magoma who's developed and he's grew as a player over the time. He's done no harm to get a starting spot if he is getting the nod. But I fully expect Romans to knuckle down that left back between now and the season. Bridgeman, if you just keep your answers short, guys, just so we can get through all the team. And obviously, callers come in, they can give us your take on it as well.
I do agree with you. I think it's the new chap's got to come in and he's got to be played. But what I saw, I only saw him for a sort of shortish period. He came on, I thought he's different class. He's got poise. He's got a lot of things going for him, and I think he'll be a good left back, a brilliant left back for us. By the look of him, And is that you for all the fullbacks done? Is that you with
That's the back line. So we're going with right backs, a toss up between Tav, Sterling. Mid defence is Suter, Fernandez, and Romans at the back 4. Am I agreeing with that?
Yep.
Sounds good to me. Midfield, I'm going to, as I said, it's a 4-2-3-1. We'll base it on, but I'm going to include the attacking midfield position, the 10, as you call it, as well, just in this conversation. Raskin, Chuck Buani, Diamonde, Aaron, who's obviously injured, young Bailey Rice, who is recovering from injury as well, Asgard and Bayrami. I'm going to fling in Mike Kimura for in the 10 position as well. Who would you have, AK, as your midfield 3 or your two holders and your attacking player?
It depends on, well, you're saying 4-2-3-1. Raskin
If
and
you've got a different
Diamande.
formation, mate, propose it. What would you do?
Well, you could go 4-4-2. There's 4-3-3 options there. There's options there in the squad, which is good for Danny Rowe. Your main two who have done nothing wrong, then would be probably Raskin and Diamande. Don't get me wrong, when Diamande's been very poor up until, say, the Old Firm getting there at the new year. Raskin is kind of, you don't know where he's got eyes elsewhere. Chukwueze has just come into the place, but young Barron was excellent there until he picked up his injury, and Rice has been injured for most of the season. I think Raskin and Diamande now, we probably, I would like to see Moore in the 10 or in the 8 position there as well, mate. But I think Bizrami could feature in there for Moore to give Gassama competition. But as I say, it comes down to then lineups and stuff, doesn't it?
Nah, depending on formation, depends on the personnel in the middle of the park, the engine room. Bridgeman, who would you have? Raskin, Diamande for you, or would you change it up with the two holders? And who would you have in the 10?
I think right at this moment, Diamande has started to come onto a game. He's got a difficulty shooting. That's his big problem now. But he's came on, coming onto a game, and I think Raskin, for me, for my money anyway, I wouldn't have Raskin out of my team, but he's got to be playing in the right position. Whatever position it is he plays, but he plays well, that's where we play him. I don't think we can allow him to sink away into the right back position or something like that, because sometimes you find him there. Wherever he's got to play, I think he's fantastic going forward for us. Absolutely brilliant. He runs, he's got a lot of energy, he can get in, and all we need to do is, when he's running in, have people getting into the box to even get cutbacks, you know, because he's really good at cutting the ball back. He sees things, he's really, really good, and he's clever player. So I would always have him in my team, and I'd have him doing the role that he's doing when he's playing well. So the tail end of the game the other night, it was excellent, you know, and he picks the ball up and he runs 20, 30, 40 yards with the ball at his feet, and that's massive. If you're dependent, it lets you get right up there and see what you can do. And every time he gets the ball and gets in close to the box, they're panicking, and that's what happened to every team we play against when he gets a chance to run. If he gets a chance to run and they keep catching him, then he's got problems. But he doesn't seem to be getting caught too much now. I think he's a smashing player.
There's certainly a few options with the personnel in there that you can have a 2 or a 3 midfield. A bit interesting to see how Danny Rowe sets it up going forward. Again, I was only basing it on a 4-2-3-1, as that's the one he's used predominantly. But I think he touched on it in his interview during the week that with the personnel in this building now, that we may see a few different formations in game and during game as well. So we'll see how that pans out. Wide players, you've got Scove Olsen, Antman, predominantly known to be on the right, although we saw Antman on the left on Wednesday night when he came on. Gassama and Mikey Moore, but for me, Mikey Moore's a 10. But I take your point on board, AK, that he's competition for Gassama on that left side. But who would you have as a starting wingers, mate, as a right and left side?
First and foremost, I don't think any of them are predominantly wingers. It's all this inverted stuff in it. You've got to play a left footer on the right wing, so he's cutting inside and use your fullback as the overlap, and that's where your width comes from. It seems to be the in thing, the Pep thing. It's him that introduced this, and it's a simple game fit, but I like our so-called wingers with chalk in their boots and gain as much width as possible, and then your wing defenders, they don't need to be up the park for as much as what you want them to be, but it just seems that the modern way. At the moment, for me, the best forward line out of that, I would be throwing Bizrami in. I think Bizrami, Moore and Scove Olsen, and I would be, well, I'll hold off on my striker now, but that's where my front three would be then, and just let them, change positions and just give them all a kind of free roll so you're confusing the opposition.
Bridgeman, your take on them?
At the moment, from an attacking perspective, I think we need Mikey Moore playing, and you could pick a position for him. We could play anywhere, because half field, you know. I think if we're going to play Gazman, for me, the only position you would put Gazman in is left wing. Can't have him out in the right because he just loses himself. And on the left wing, he causes a bit of trouble. If he can get a chance to cause a bit of trouble, it peps him up and gets him back into the game. And I think the only negative about Gazman at the moment is the referee sees a diver. They think he's a diver. And he needs to get that, shall we say, make sure there's not such a negative attitude from the referees and linesmen. So if they think he's a diver, they're looking for it. And they're looking for any wee touch. And he's going to go down. And it might even be a genuine go down, you know. He gets pulled down. And so they're not going to give him it. And the referees in our country here don't give Rangers very much anyway. And it's worse if it's because of what you've done, and you're getting pulled up for it. So as far as I'm concerned, I would always play Gazama on the left and Big Chermiti up front. That's the way I would play it. You know, that would have Mickey Moore out in the right to start with, and let him come in, let him go and do it. Obviously, listening, and I can just hear your minds going, no, you know. Well, that's the way I think. You'd have Mikey Moore in your team somewhere, because he's been our most consistent player for a wee while now. And he got man of the match the other night, deservedly. But he drives. You give him the ball, he'll drive. A wee bit like Raskan we were talking about. You give him the ball, he'll drive. He'll pick the ball out wide and he'll come inside. He can do all these things, and he's a nice shot on him. Scored a number of goals for us. So we have to have him playing. I would play him in the right wing to start the game.
Right, you mentioned there Big Chermiti, mate. That leads me nicely onto the striking position. Again, based on a 4-2-3-1, AK, you've got Miovski, Chermiti, and obviously a deadline day signing, Ryan Naderi. Obviously seen glimpses of him the other night. He looks strong, powerful. He's got the height. He's got a blistering bit of pace about him, which he showed, which I was a wee bit surprised at. I wasn't expecting it. Going forward, mate, what are you thinking? 1 or 2?
I think we've got options there for a 2 as well as a 1. I think long term, I think Nadiri will become the focal point up front for me. But Chermiti is growing into a role, but also still wouldn't discount Miovski. I know a lot of supporters saying he's been a letdown, and it has been a letdown. But I think that's down to the personnel round about him, no seeing his runs. He's trying to make runs, and they're not seeing him. So it looks as if a lot he's not getting involved in the play. But I still think there's a good finisher there with Miovski. There's an intelligent player there. But Nadiri, I think, will be Danny Rowe's #1 striker long term. I think you don't go to third division in Germany and, you know, bump £2 million onto the contract to get him to win the league this year. So he, for me, is going to be Danny Rowe's #9 up front.
And Bridgeman, you sticking with Chermiti just before we bring our first caller in, mate?
I would go with Chermiti. Look, it's a provision, of course, that he's fit. You know, but I wouldn't bother me in a sense, because I think Miovski will do a turn for us at the weekend. I also think that a big German guy could come in and play against Queen's Park. So there's many ways to do it. You could give, if Chermiti's just coming back for injury, you could give him and the big German for a half each, and let them get in, their 45 minutes under the belt, and get somebody off at half time for me and get Miovski on. You could do all these things, but of course our mind goes so further on than the weekend, because we've got some really big games for us, really big games coming up that we need to win. Every game we need to win. And we need all these players that we've added in need to get game time. And this weekend game is a fine time to go out with a full strong team to start with, in my opinion, score a number of goals, which is been difficult for us. Score a number of goals, get to the comfortable point, and let the manager change the team around and do the business.
All right, mate. Well, that's it. We went through the squad. Certainly a lot of options in personnel there. Speaking of personnel, joined by Billy. Evening, Billy.
Good evening. How we doing, everybody? All right?
Not bad, mate. What's on your mind?
Right, Billy.
Aye. I was just listening to you talking about Sterling there. And I've done a wee bit of digging around. Like, everybody's obviously got their own opinion on the big man, right? But we need to, I think when I explain a few things to you, you'll maybe get all cogwebs and the brain moving in the right way. To cut the big man a wee bit of slack, This is Breham. This is big Sterling's career, right? He played two games for Chelsea, right? And he started his career. He played 28 games for Stoke in 1 year. He played 25 games for Blackpool in 1 year. He played 10 games for Wigan in 1 year. He played 40 games for Coventry in 1 year, because he was only all these clubs individually for a season or something, right? This is his third season with Glasgow Rangers. He played 36 games in his first year. He played 34 games in his second year. And so far, he's played only 7 games this season, or thereabouts, right? Whatever way you want to look at it. Now, throw into the hat, the laddie snapped his Achilles. And I don't know if any's are aware of what kind of injury the laddie had. It was a snapped Achilles the laddie had. Now, I was friendly with the goalie, God rest him. And the goalie showed me pictures of his Achilles when he snapped his, right? And it's not a very nice injury, believe you me. It's like, see if you get a marker pen, right? And you pull the heat off it, and you're left with the bottom bit of the pen and the top bit of the pen, and there's nothing in between it. That's what a snapped Achilles is like. So that laddie was out for that length of time, for that injury to heal, right? And then, in between that, remember Clement, he came out and he stated to the openly to the press that it wasn't good enough, that the performances that the Rangers player were putting in, the Rangers team was putting in at that particular time. And Clement basically says, well, that he seen it as that was him challenging him. And he dropped the laddie week in, week out. So when you look at all these stats, right, for Big Sterling, I think the laddie's done no too bad under the circumstances, especially more so when he snapped his Achilles and he's called the manager out. Right? Maybe he shouldn't have called the manager out. Maybe he was just too naive at the time. He's just a young laddie. It happens. He'll not be the first, and he'll certainly not be the last, lads. But I think we should just wind our guns in a wee bit on Big Sterling.
When fit and available, Billy, would you have him in your side? And where would you have him?
I would play him at right back all day long, Robert. That would be my position for him. I think on Sunday, mate, when he got booked early on, it just nullified him a wee bit, because he's not right up to speed yet, coming back for that bad injury. Yes, he's had a pre-season, I believe, or he'll be up to some sort of fitness, or he wouldn't be back in the team. But I think that's what nullified him on Sunday. I think if he can get Sterling fit and right up to speed, and I mean, it maybe sounds as if I contradicted myself here, but I'm talking about fit, and I'm talking about match fit. If he can get him right up to speed, I think he'll stamp his authority as the Rangers right back for a number of years to come. And I think your other man on your left hand side, the big boy that was saying your noise, that'll be your two first in the team sheet, right back and left back. The big boy that was signed there.
That's the way I see it, Billy, for the remainder of the season. Obviously, we know Aarons will go back in the summer, likely. Tavernier, assuming there's going to be no contract extension at this moment in time, nothing to say otherwise. So certainly the right back position will be an area of interest come the summer. and it'll be time will tell to see whether you're right if it's going to be Sterling or if he goes for a more natural right back. Because I'll be honest, mate, I think in the moment in time, for me, I'd have Sterling at right back, but I think his strongest position is in defensive mid. But hold day thoughts to now, get yourselves on mute, because it's dancing time. Let's have the tune, Mr. Fox.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Fox. I'm sure there's a lot of feet tapping going on out there. AK, Billy's point about Sterling, mate, what's your thoughts on it? One thing I'll say as well is what Danny Rose done with Sterling in particular, and like all players that have come back from injury, he's managed the time well on the park and try and kept him fit as possible after returning from injury.
Aye, listen, pretty much so. Aye, welcome again, Billy. Listen, I think Sterling, I picked him as the best option as a right back for what we've got, but I'm just concerned about his lack of game time. I appreciate he has had that bad injury, but see the fact that there was a big game on the periphery, and it looked as if Danny Rowe was actually waiting for him to come back and threw him in straight away. I think that tells you how much Danny Rowe thinks of him. I think Tavernier, he recognises his abilities to go forward, but he's concerned about what he's leaving behind him, and it kind of gazes that gaping hole in that right back position. I think Sterling, when he's fit, when he's free, when he's he's available for selection, I think he is our best option. I've just got concerns on the amount of game time. Unfortunately, these things can happen. It plagued Kemar Roof's career for long periods of time when something like that goes. But although having said that, Big Shooter's the prime example. I think he's had 2 snap tickets, Billy, and he's come back and played. But there's always that chance where Shooter can break down with game time away with Scotland and stuff, as we've seen, and breaking down at home to Spurs, I think it was last year. So you've got a question marks there, and you've got a question marks there, the robustness of a player and the availability or the reliability of a player. That's when it can be a wee bit difficult for the manager. But I think Sterling going forward, he'll be kept, because I don't think Tavernier will extend beyond this year, and Arns will get sent back. So I think Danny Rowe and the recruitment team have got some work to do in that back position.
AK, how important or how crucial will it be that, obviously with no European football after Motherwell on Wednesday night, it becomes weekend to weekend football in terms of Sterling's game time? Does that play into a factor? Recovery as well?
I actually had a wee look at the run of fixtures that we've all got, and if you don't mind, I could maybe run through them all. But it's quite apparent between Rangers, between Hearts, between Celtic and Motherwell. I just went down to fourth. I didn't want to go down as far as Hibs. But in the month of February alone, we've obviously got Queen's Park coming up. Then we've got Motherwell away on the 11th, Hearts at home the 15th. And then it's Livy after that, the 22nd, and then Celtic the 1st of March. Hearts, that's 5 games. Hearts have only got 4 games in the month. They've got Hibs at home, Rangers away, Falkirk at home, and Aberdeen at home. Celtic have got 8 games to play in February. Dundee, Livy, Kelly, Stuttgart, Hibs, Stuttgart, Rangers, and then Aberdeen. And Motherwell have got 5 games in Motherwell. Rangers at home, Aberdeen away in the Scottish Cup. Were they meant to be playing the weekend, and it must have got...
It's been postponed tomorrow night for the pitch. Aberdeen's pitch is still unplayable. So a factor there, mate, just to mention it. Motherwell, when they play us on Wednesday night, won't have played for 11 days as well. When they play us on Wednesday night.
Which could be a good thing, but to finish off Motherwell's fixtures, they've got then St Mirren away after the cup game and Dundee United at home. So Celtic's got a big month of games coming up there, and I've said this, I don't know whether you agree, Billy, Rob and Bridgeman, but see the amount of games that we've had in latter years with our good runs in Europe. I think it's been a massive factor why we have came short in that league, with the amount of games, suspensions, injuries. I think it's been a major factor in why we've fell short so often.
Billy, you want to come back in on that, mate?
I think the reason for that is it's the lack of strength and depth in the pool. For no competing properly in these situations, and the amount of games we've had, because if you've got you've got 38 games right away in the league, right? That's what you've got. Then you've got European Champions League qualifiers in there, or so they're for talking to they're in our 6 games. So it takes you to 44. You get into the Champions League, whatever way the format is now, XYZ amount of games. Then you've got the Scottish Cup and League Cup games, and you would expect a team like Rangers to be going right into the latter stages of the domestic trophies and going on to win them. You know, so when you take all that on board, you could maybe say, just off the top of my head, you're talking about 60 games, 65, 70 games a season. You know, you're expecting the players to play, which is, it's a hell of a lot of games. So to cover the hell of a lot of games, the logical thing today would be to have a good enough pool and a strong enough pool in all different positions, strength and depth, as I said, to cover all that for that long period, sustainable games. You know, but that said, if you've not got the quality within your squad, and you've only maybe got a core of 16 starters out of maybe 34 of your squad, you know, if any of these 16 get injured at any point in their careers within that season, then obviously you can't play them. Then you throw in the booking scenario, suspensions, centre halves, especially midfielders, they get booked. You know, they're out suspended. So if you've not got anybody to come in there and basically be like for like in that position, be back that position up or be better in that position, then you're always going to struggle. You know, but I mean, just to hang me with big AK there and all, but I see what you're saying with Sterling and that, but I don't think he's injury prone, AK. I really don't, because since that injury, mate, he's always been fit and available, you know. So when you take that injury out of the equation, and then you throw in the run-in with Hudby Clermont, you know, the big man's played a fair average amount of games when you actually look at it within that actual scale of games there that I was just talking about, maybe 65, 70 games a season. And remember, he was only a kid then, too. He was only, 23-year-old or something? What is he, 26 now or something, I think? 26? So, but you definitely need a big pool, Robert, to cover for these things, mate, because if you've not got a big pool, then you're always going to struggle. You could possibly get away with it, maybe if you say, right, well, I've not got a big pool, but you've got quality. Maybe if you've got 26, I think that'd be maybe the bare minimum I'd be looking for in a squad, because there's I don't know what other teams in Scotland are, how many teams had that kind of squad around. I think everybody's all around about 28, 30 squad-wise. So I think you maybe get away with it with maybe 26. If you've got 26 quality football players in a squad, you've got to be competing in Scotland domestically all day long. And that's how that mob across the city done it for long enough, because you had a big squad with quality players in all different positions. Once one get injured or a punt at one, they brought in a conveyor belt of so-called talent coming through there that was good enough to win them the trophies in Scotland. And there they go. They go to Europe and they get fun out in Europe. You know, that's the difference.
Bridge, Billy's right. It's trying to find the balancing as well of having a pool of players available, but also to have that quality. As Billy says, if a player gets injured or suspended, then it's fine having a big squad, but you've got to have the same quality to bring on. And I think as we went through the squad depth there, certainly that's something that we can think and hope that's been improved since Danny Rules came in, and obviously the summer window as well. As I said, 17 arrivals, 24 departures. There's been a massive overhaul, but it's where the quality's there. But at this moment in time, they've shown quality enough to get back in the title race.
Yeah, I think we're looking at what our manager brought in up to now, particularly in this close window here. So the ones he brought in look not too bad. We haven't seen them, of course, but some of them look, to me, they look really good. If you want to look forward and so on and so forth, then there are a number of players you would love to keep because they are quality, and they are quality, and that's number one is Mikey Moore. He's the type of player that you want for Rangers. He's a bomb. He comes in and does it, you know. And if we lose him, or when we lose him, there's a lot of folk think he's just going to go to the close season. Then we're going to drop. Our quality is going to drop like a bomb. So I must admit, I think the manager's done a grand job up to now in clearing places, getting rid of people, or I put it a nicer way, letting people go, and bringing people in. And the ones that they brought in up to now, based on what I've seen, are definitely an improvement on some of the players that we've let go. Considering that some of the players we'll let go hardly kicked a ball in the last year, you know, so that's as good as it gets, you know, for that. And some of the ones that are still here, if he dumps them between now and the end of the season, we're going to be quids in, literally quids in. So I think it's a great thing he's done. I'm looking forward to seeing these new players come in. I like the left back. I think he'll do really well. And that Danish boy we've got on the right wing at the moment, has been is he Danish? Well, I mean, I made a mistake the other night, didn't I? Probably Belgian or something like that. Anyway, he's
Danish, Bridge. You're right.
Danish, right? Okay, so he looks good. He will come onto a game. He's nice, mover with the ball. He's just got to get to know his players, his playmates. That sounds really stupid, doesn't it? Like get to know his team, his teammates, and how they play, and how he's going to play, and get his like to say, the match fitness up. Other than that, I think we've got enough players there that can do things. What we can't have, and I'll say it again, I've been saying it every game, literally every game, we've got to start the game very quickly on the front foot. We can't get caught back and spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes trying to get possession. No, we need to get it really from the start. We are going to be the dominant team, and let them worry about us. and no us worry about them. And that's what we need to do. And once we get doing that, we have it, then we'll be a better club, better side.
Well, I hope you're right, mate. I hope the quality has come in the window, and the players that have left are replaced by quality, and that will be in the evidence at the end of the season. If we've got a league title in our hands and also a Scottish Cup, which obviously we're in Scottish Cup action this weekend on Sunday at Ibrox against Queen's Park, and it was Stevie Smith who done the interview ahead of that game. So if you don't mind, get yourselves on mute. We'll hear from Stevie Smith ahead of Sunday.
Stevie, I appreciate it's not been long since last night, but are you aware if Emmanuel Fernandez, Dujon Sterling or Yusuf Chamiti are going to be back involved in the squad for this weekend?
I think they'll be assessed over the next, let's say, 48 hours, and I would hope that they're all short term, but whether that means they're back for Sunday, we'll still need to wait for the advice of the medical team. How far away is Derek Cornelius from a return? Derek's back on pitch. He's doing some work with the rehab team, and I'd expect him to join in with the group soon, but he's still a little bit away. I'm sure you'll be aware, obviously, what happened against Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup last year. Can that be used as a warning that lower league sides shouldn't be taken lightly in this competition? I think it'll be fresh in the players' minds. I think there's still 6 or 7 players in the group that were here and involved in that game, whether that be on the bench or starting the game. So I don't think we'll treat Queen's Park lightly. I think we'll treat them with the respect that they deserve. We'll prepare properly, and the players will be ready to go on Sunday. Stevie, you've lived the good times here, you've endured some bad times as well. Just how highly do you rate the job done by the manager thus far? So far it's been excellent. I think the results from where we were to where we are now have been really good. Performances, we know it's not perfect, but in terms of results and putting us back in a really good position, the results have been really important. And do you sense now that the players haven't got themselves into this position, right in the mix of the title fight, that they're determined now to kick on? Of course they are. I think that you can feel that there's an energy in the group, that they know that they've put themselves in a really good position. But one thing we need to do is remember how we got there. We got there through a lot of hard work, taking it game by game. I think it's okay for everybody else to get carried away and everybody else to speculate what might happen, but we as a group have always got to remember how we've put ourselves in this position. When you took charge of that Dundee United game, Stevie, did you believe that this kind of turnaround was actually possible when you saw the squad that day and saw where the players were and where the club was? I think when I sat here, I think it was in October, I did say that things can change quickly. If somebody said you would get to this point where you put yourself in a position that you're 3 points behind, I probably would have said no. But I did know at that point, and I did believe in the group, that if momentum started to change, that it could change quickly, and that's what's happened. What's impressed you most about the manager? What's the X factor, if you like? There's probably a few things. I think his work ethic is one of the main reasons. I think how he analyses opponents, how he analyses our performance, whether that's training or games, attention to detail. I think how he's handled the media, because it's not been an easy start. I think when you have to go double game weeks every week, basically since he's come into the job, and you're sitting down pre-match, post-match, every single week, that's a big aspect of the job, and I think he's handled all those things really well. Stevie, the fans seem to like Tyrone Roman's performance last night, from one former left back to a current one. How highly do you rate him, and how excited should the Rangers fans be about him? Listen, it's really early days, but I think the debut last night was probably as good as it gets. But what I will say is that Jade Magoma has also been excellent. I think he's 19 years of age, he's played a lot of football. He's been really consistent, and I think the manager mentioned it on deadline day or the day after, that there's now competition for places, and that's exactly what you want. The manager seemed surprised with some booing at half-time despite the team being one up last night. Have you had to have a conversation with him about what the intensity is like here and how anxious the fans can become? I think he's worked at big clubs before, so he's smart enough and intelligent enough to form his own opinion. We know it's a very demanding support, but one thing I will say is we're going to need them. Between now and the end of the season, they're going to play a big part, so the message has been that it has to be everyone together, and hopefully that's what happens and that's what continues.
Steve, just in terms of the new players, obviously Tour came on yesterday, Skvolson got his goal. How much have they lifted the squad over the past month since they've come in? I think it's just been a collective. I think deadline day, I think it was a really good window. Not just, I think the manager mentioned it, not just the players coming in, but the players going out. It feels like a real freshness in the group. And one thing you always want as a manager, as a coaching staff, is competition for places.
it puts pressure on people to perform, and they know if they don't perform, there's somebody there waiting who probably deserves an opportunity to come in. So I think as a collective it was a really good transfer window, and not just the incomes but the players that left as well.
See, in terms of the crowd reaction, Stevie, you've been here a long time, these fans have been through a lot. Can you understand how they feel, and do they have to trust the manager a wee bit more that he will get it right?
I think there has to be an understanding of probably the pain that they've had for the last 10 to 15 years. Everybody knows. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think we're coming to a point in the season where I mentioned the performances aren't going to be perfect all the time. That's just normal. There is going to be moments where people get edgy, players get edgy, and that's probably where the supporters become key. That's where they need to stick with us and believe as they are doing, because they can take you out of some difficult moments.
In terms of Danny, I know it's still early days and he's reign here, but can you see him being here for a long haul at Rangers?
I think in managerial positions it's always difficult to say, and especially at a club like this where results dictate everything. But the way he started, I would like to think that he's going to be here for the long term, yeah.
Cheers for that, Fox. AK, Stevie Smith spoke very well, quite comfortable with the media, answered some tough questions. Obviously the booing aspect came back up in the press conference. That was obviously the day after the Kilmarnock game, but he spoke well. In terms of injuries, we'll see if Sterling, Chermiti are involved on Sunday. Can't remember the other one that you mentioned there. We'll see how they are, but he spoke very well.
He did so. I think Cornelius was the other one, Paul. No, you listen. I like Smith. Obviously, you don't know the credentials, the character of the player. Obviously, he's a former player, and he was okay. Stevie Smith. He wasn't a brilliant player, but he done a job. In the period he was with the club, but he's evolved to be into a coaching role there. He's obviously had the grounding, he working with the academy, and role probably sees a wee bit himself in him maybe, because he's a young man. You know, he's had an opportunity there, and he's took the opportunity, and he'll be like a sponge now. He'll be learning everything as much as he can off of Danny Rowe and his other assistants, because of the credentials and the pedigree that he's came. You know, the roles that he's had at Leipzig, the roles that he's had at Bayern Munich, the German national team. For a young man, he's pretty experienced now, so to speak. So there's things that Danny Rowe can lean on Stevie Smith to learn more about the club, the culture, the heritage, what the expecting levels is. But there's also things that Stevie Smith can learn off of Danny Rowe. And I think, touch wood, the now, mate, it looks a good match there. So, but Stevie Smith spoke very well in that interview there, I thought, mate.
Manny Fernandes was the other one that you had mentioned for Sunday. Forgot about Big Fernandes. So I could forget the goal threat of Manny this season. Billy, again, I don't know if you've mentioned it, mate, but he was always asked about the booing aspect. We spoke about it at the start of the show. Don't want to dwell too much on it, mate, but have you had a chance to echo your thoughts on that one yet, mate?
Listen, I'll be totally honest with you, right? I've not got a problem with supporters booing the team, right? And I'll tell you the reason why, right? Because the fans are frustrated. Stevie Smith said there, right? Look at the rigmarole we've had for the last 10 years or so, right? So if the fans want to boo, they're entitled to boo, right? They're showing their frustration, the fans, right? And it's also a good thing to see them booing, I believe, right? It maybe sound negative, right? But it's no. That's the fans telling the players that's not acceptable. We're not putting up with this style of football. The last thing we want to see, I mean, Southside has spoke about it a number of times, right? And it's all about passion, commitment, you know, endeavour, running out, giving everything for Glasgow Rangers. See if you're doing that for Rangers, the fans will not boo you. The fans will go away you. That's the way it works, because we see, listen, we maybe get bait today, but every one of the laddies tried to run their socks off. And you can't ask for any more than that. But when they're dropping their standards, that's when we've got a problem, you know. And the supporters will not boo them. if they didn't do that, and if they start off in the right foot in the first place. You know, I've spoken about it before, regarding the players, their attitude. You know, these Rangers players can't just think they can turn up for whatever game suits them. That's not what it's all about at Rangers. They maybe got away with that at other clubs, but the demands at Rangers, that's not acceptable. So when you're a Glasgow Rangers player, the minute you cross that white line, you've got to leave everything out in that park. Everything out in that park. And if other players run about you in different positions, be it midfield, centre halves, centre forwards, and they're no pulling their weight, it's up to you as a Rangers footballer to tell them that's no good enough, be it on the park or in that dressing room at half time. So, as I said, I can understand the fans' frustration booing. You know, there's a difference between booing and no accepting things, and there's a difference at just hurling abuse. That's a completely different scenario. And there's a lot of people out there that miss the key there, i.e. giving people abuse, which is not acceptable, and just booing, right? Booing's frustration. So there's a fine line between that. But I've not got a problem with the supporters booing the players, mate, if they're not doing the job, because they're just showing their frustration. And listen, the supporters pay their money week in, week out, season tickets, merchandise, etc., etc. You know, people will say, well, maybe say, well, that doesn't give them a free ticket to do what they're doing. Well, that's up to you. That's your opinion on it. But the bottom line here is the boys go there week in, week out, all the Rangers out of the country, and if they're paying, they're good, they're working all week to go wherever they want to go to watch the Rangers, and if they think the Rangers players are dropping below the Rangers standards, then they're quite entitled to. That's just my take on it, lads.
Listen, mate, it's something that's obviously split opinions over the past couple of days. Some people agree with yourself, some others see it kind of slightly different, and that's, as AK said, that's the world of social media. People voice their opinions, and listen, if fans are frustrated, ourselves on here, we've been frustrated many times coming on after a game when it's been a draw or a defeat or a lacklustre performance. But I think there's ways you can show frustration. For me personally, mate, I would just like to see everybody do that, as I said earlier on, the famous Ibrox roar. Just roar the team on, because that itself shows that the fans are demanding a wee bit more from you as a player. I would expect you to take that on board. But Bridge, another thing that was mentioned, obviously, Queen's Park's the visitors on Sunday. We've got history, obviously, recently last season, where we had a cup upset, to say the least. Stevie Smith mentioned a few players in the dressing room, but Danny Rule picked the team on Sunday, respect the opponent, respect the competition, and go and win the game ultimately, mate.
Yeah, like the last, as you say, was a mistake. A real surprise, wasn't it? However, you get what you deserve what you get, and it's simple as that. And we got beat. Simple. And as far as I'm concerned, we got beaten. And it's not the first time we've come up against Queen's Park. And I remember a long time ago, when we were way back up from the division, the bottom division, and we met them at Hampden. We took something like 35,000, 40,000 people there to Hampden. The biggest crowd I've ever had outside a Celtic Rangers match, if you follow what I mean. It's quite incredible. We went there and we struggled. We won 1-0 at the end. And really and truly, we take for granted the level of the team we're playing, and that's at the player level. We shouldn't be doing that. The players should be playing against any team, no matter who they are, the same way, the same attitude, out to win, and we should just scoosh against Queen's Park. We should scoosh them out of the park. Simple.
I think with the group of players we've went through the night, obviously, earlier on in the show, even if there's changes in the side, Billy, we're still expecting to go and win quite a dominant scoreline. Again, whether the performance is pretty or not, we're still expecting to put on a bit of a performance to get some goals in the team, a chance for some of the new guys to maybe get a run out, get more minutes in their legs as well. More so probably Romans and Nadiri, I'm thinking of. And hopefully get some goals in, some of these guys, and assists.
Of course, mate, it's a Scottish Cup, buddy. That's, you know, it's Queen's Park we're playing, you know. When you look at the what do you call it, the difference, or the gulf, should I say, professionally and between the two teams, we should be going out there on paper, and you look at it, Rangers should be going out there and taking goals off us team. You know, but listen, the team will come here. They'll see it as their wee cup final. You know, they'll be playing against a full house at Ibrox. You know, some of the players will maybe know he played at that level before. You know, some of them will have played at that level before. Some played at Ibrox before. Some of them won't. You know what I mean? So, but listen, we should be going out there at the weekend and into a Scottish Cup tie, a full house at Ibrox, and we should be winning comfortably. What team he's got to put in the park, I don't know. You know, he's got to bring back some of the players that's maybe just been on the fringes, or is he going to go with the players that are a strong starting 11? I don't know, Robert.
I'll tell you what, mate, why don't you have a wee think about that? Have a wee think of who you would pick for Sunday, and we'll get the moment that everybody tunes into a Friday night to hear, and the big man wasn't far away last week. It's time for Southside's Super 6.
Welcome to Southside Super 6, and get ready for your weekend's fix. He finds it hard to get them right, 'cause most of the time they are shy.
I still laugh at that. That's brilliant. Anyway, Super 6 for this week. You get your pens and papers ready. Right, first selection is Coventry. These are teams all to win. Coventry, Birmingham, Bolton, Stockport, Huddersfield, and he's going for Cardiff again. The team that let him down last week, he's going for them again. I'll run through that quickly again. It's Coventry, Birmingham, Bolton, Stockport, Huddersfield, and Cardiff. And that pays 22 to win your dough. Good luck, Southside.
Well, you have just heard this week's picks are run out and bet like dicks. The sane amongst you will give it a miss, 'cause for years he has just been taking the piss.
Cheers for that, mate. What was that, 22 to 1? So, Billy, you put a tenner on it. How much are you getting back?
£230.
That's the positivity we want to hear. And AK, if Cardiff let you down, how much are you getting back?
It's usually nothing, Billy.
Good luck. Good luck, Southside. He's been banging on the door for a couple of weeks now, AK. He's certainly due one, isn't he?
He's been banging on more than the door.
Banging his head against the headboard, that might be a different story. Anyway, good luck. Good luck to whoever's playing it. Whoever plays along, good luck to you. And hopefully this week, Southside, your friend, and gets you some extra dough and ahead of the week ahead. Right, so Billy, you mentioned there what kind of team he puts out. I'll be honest, mate. I think it won't be far away from the team that finished the game on Wednesday night. I'm going to have Liam Kelly in goal, however, for the cup game, just for rotation purposes. And right back, I think he'll start with Max Aarons over Sterling, because I think there's a bigger game for Sterling to take part in on Wednesday night, mate. But the rest of the team, I think it'll be the team that finishes on Wednesday night, with maybe the exception of Chuck Wuani in the middle of the park. And I'd like to see him next to Diamondi. We've not seen that yet.
That's when you should say that, mate, because you want my team.
Go for it, mate. Then I'll go to AK and Bridge and see if they have got any changes, mate.
Right, no bother, mate, because I was just actually scribbling my team down there just to see, right. I would go with Kelly, Aarons, Shooter, Diaja, and Romans to get Roman to, like, because this will be the game, because he's only played a wee snippet there during the week type thing. So I'd play him in this game to get him a good 90 minutes into his legs. I'd play Chukwuemani or Chukwuemani. How do you spell the boy's name? Is it Chukwuemani?
Chukwuemani, or as Fox says, call him Tochi. That's his first name. Tochi for easiness. Or Chuck. We'll take Chuck.
Well, I play Chukwueze or whatever he is, and Diamondi in there. That's who I'd play, mate, just to see you two. And my three would be Bajrami, Ant-Man and Mikey Moore, and Nadiri up front. That's what I would play, just
You having Bajrami on the right?
No, Bajrami on the left and Ant-Man on the right, mate. And Mikey Moore is a 10.
Who do you have up front? Nadiri?
Nadiri, mate, aye. Yes.
Okay. AK, you think the same lines? Any changes with that?
I think Billy's seen my sheet. I'm not far away from you at all, Billy. I've got Kelly, Aaron, Ziga, Suter, Romans, Chukwueze, Diamondi. I've got Moore, Bajrami, Nadiri and Olsen. I think Olsen will start instead of Ant-Man, but pretty similar to yourself.
Bridgeman?
I would differ from them. I would go with the strongest team I can to start the game, as I said earlier, and then bring the players that I mentioned, bring them on. So I'd be starting with Target right back, goalkeeper is the Buckland. I'd be playing Buckland. And I'd have Tavernier, Suter, and they're fit, of course, Big Fernandez. And the boy, I can't remember his name, so I keep forgetting his name, the boy at left back, the young lad that's playing. Aye, I'd play him. The Rashkin and Diamondi, and I can't remember his name now, the tall one with the funny hair at the back. Right, no, Rashkin, no, what's it?
Ashgard,
that's him, right? And I'd have Mickey Moore on the right, Gasman on the left, and our big centre forward up front. Can't remember his name now.
What one now? There's two of them. You've got Chermiti and Nadiri.
No, that's Chermiti, the one. Chermiti. And obviously we backfill that when it comes second half or whenever the manager feels like it. But their job is to go out and virtually win the game in the first half. Win the game, score a number of goals, and let's go on, mate.
Robert, I think, sorry to jump in there, mate. I seen an interview with the gaffer talking about Chermiti, and I think, I don't know, obviously I don't know what the injury's like, but it was like a gash. I think he says he's got a 5 or 6 inch gash on his, where he got kicked. So I don't know if it's got stitches on it or if he's actually burst the skin, or if it's just like hanged up with butterflies. But if he's got a big gash and it's a 5 inch gash with studs, mate, that's a dullion, so they'll need to watch, because that'll take more than a week or two it'll take more than a week to heal, I would imagine, if it's needing stitched. You know what I mean? If you imagine splitting your head or what, I mean, you're a young lad and you get 5 stitches in your brow or something like that, it's all right. You can maybe, if it's a head knock, you can put a bandage on it and go and play with one of the, face things on or whatever. But if it's on your foot, you can't really protect it when you're flying into tackles, because you've got to get kicked and all that in there. So you need to be careful with that one with Chermiti, I think, if that's the case. But listen, I don't know. I'm only second guessing what the manager said, eh?
I think that was the reason he gave on Wednesday night. Well, he wasn't in the team. Is that gash that he got during the Hibs game, which incidentally at the time he wasn't substituted with, so it was probably something discovered after the game and realised that he'd a gash on his, I think it's either his foot or his leg, but just say, mate, if there's stitches in it, he was struggling to walk before Wednesday night, so we'll see if he's fit and available. If not, AK, it's an opportunity for Miovski to get some goals in his game if he gets a nod, or Nadiri to get a run out from the start, show what he can do. Again, you look at the opponent, you can downplay it a wee bit, but a striker who can get on the score sheet coming in the door in January will certainly want to thrive off that and build confidence if he does get the nod.
He's got great options there, as you say. I mean, the last round, Miovski scores the hat-trick, didn't he, against Annan. The other night, Skov Olsen lays it on a plate for Nadiri to get off to a goal-scoring start in his debut. So Personally, I would give Nadiri at least an hour, just to get used to his surroundings and hopefully get off the mark. The sooner a striker gets off the mark at Ibrox, the better. Colin Steens did it in the past. Chris Boyes did it, and they were prolific strikers, brilliant numbers, and left Ibrox heroes. And let's hope the big German Nadiri will guard all Nadiri balls, Billy. Eh?
Nice one.
Listen, we won't be surprised to hear. AK's been working on that all week. He's been texting me asking, how does this sound? He managed to see it tonight. Well done.
Don't believe a word of it.
That's a Bob Gear joke, that one.
Well, I don't know about that, mate. It's a close contest. Bob, if you're listening, come and give one. We'll test it. We'll compare the two. But no, AK, you're right, mate. There is competition. Again, look, it's an opportunity to rest some players as well. Obviously, with the midweek fixture away to Motherwell. But you've got to play, as Bridge says, the first game in front of you is, of course, Queen's Park. And we know cup games can cause upsets. We don't want to be in that same position. But right now, at home, Billy, I think home advantage, you say the crowd, full voice, full 90, back the team. If it's not going well, be patient. The result will come, as Daniel's shown. You can grind out results, but you've got to say, on paper, it should be comfortable. And it's a chance for new players to get minutes in the legs, gain confidence, and become a good problem for Daniel going forward for team selection.
Aye, mate. Listen, as I said, I think, to be honest with you, I mean, I know the professionalism of the manager and his coaching staff and the players and all that. They'll be looking at the next game, right? And that's the next game is a cup game. That's what they'll be looking at. But their job is to manage the players accordingly, right? You know, you've got all the different things that come into it, sports science, etc., people who's coming back for injury, people that's hit the burnout level and all this nonsense, you know what I mean? So they'll be taking all that into consideration as well. I understand what Bridge is saying as well. They play the same team. And you know that's a great shout and all. You can play the same team if you want, but you've got to manage your players accordingly. And remember, we're playing Queen's Park here, right? They're the bottom of the championship. That's where they are. You know, we're Glasgow Rangers. We should have nothing to fear regarding Queen's Park. We should be able to put the B team out against Queen's Park and turn that Queen's Park here at Ibrox in the Scottish Cup. You know, obviously, I think the manager, he'll change the team. And I think he'll change the team because at the back of his mind, he'll be using what I've just said there for the benefit of Rangers, the first team. And he also had that game in mind against Morrow away during the week. You know, so it swings and roundabouts, sorry, and try to get a balance. Bringing the new guys in, get them up, get more minutes into their legs, etc. You know, get the ones that's just signed there, give them another chance. You know, get them playing in front of the crowd at Ibrox and all that. Get their confidence up, etc. But listen, you know, as I said, it's Queen's Park we're playing, and I always remember Walter Smith talking about it. You know, when at Ibrox, he says, see when Ibrox used to go quiet, he says he used to tell the players, go and make something happen. Didn't wait in the crowd doing it. Go and do something. Fly into a tackle. You know, win a 50-50. You know, foul somebody. You know, go on a run. You know, hunt the ball down. You know, that's how to get the crowd going with you. You know, so as Walter said, go and let the players go and make it happen. You shouldn't, and the fans will go with you. It shouldn't need to be the other way round about it. The expectations of putting the fans on. The fans are brilliant. We need the fans. Of course you need the fans. It's the fans that are the lifeblood of Glasgow Rangers. But ultimately, it's 11 players on the park. You've got to perform first. That's what it's all about. You perform, the fans will go with you. And it's up to you to perform. You know, all us sitting in the stands, we can't run out in the park and say, right, Jermity, give that jersey off you. You're murdered, big man. I'm putting that one on. I'll play for the Rangers. Doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So it's up to the players to go out and perform in the park. Mucker, you know. But he will have one eye in the game on Wednesday, I would imagine. So he'll just need to manage the players that he's got at his disposal for the next 2 games, you know. But we'll be all right, lads. We'll be all right. You know, we should beat Queen's Park comfortably.
Aye, we expect it, and we hope so as well. And listen, if it's a 1-0 famous Bridgeman or a 2-0, the end result is we're through at the next round of the Scottish Cup, which AK, it's a target for us to go and achieve as well this season. Danny Rowell's obviously got aspirations of doing a double. I think that's changed over time. As I said in a previous show, when he first came in, it was simply get results, win games. But where we're at in the moment, there's a real optimistic and realistic chance of getting a double, which Stevie Smith said in his interview. If you asked him that in October, even he didn't think it was possible. But it just shows you.
It's amazing what momentum can do in football, Rob. When you get a run of wins, the snowball becomes a snowman. You know, eventually. But it's amazing where we've been. As I said, keep going on about it. But on reflection, you know, drawing in Hearts the way they've done, drawing in Celtic the way they've done, they've bypassed Celtic. To be fair, Motherwell have kept pace. I think they're actually the second foreign team in Scotland this year. Just now, their manager and players have done a great job there in a limited budget. You know, we've spent plenty to get where we want to be, but nothing's been won yet, nothing's been achieved, and you've still got 2 cups here on the line. Obviously, the title is the main one, but it'd be great if we could finish the season with a double. And that would be St Mirren and ourselves sharing the domestic trophies between us, it would look pretty at the end of the season. But there's been a lot of hard work being done so far to get us in this position. Don't let it slide. Keep focused. Get out there, win the game, win your battles, put the game to bed as early as you can. Goal scoring, you know, confidence. It's starting to roll through the team, and with the big games coming up against Motherwell, Hearts and Celtic in a few weeks, this is the kind of bit of the time of the season where you can really stamp your authority on the rest of the clubs, particularly when you're winning all these big games. And Danny Rowell's been winning the majority of them, particularly since the turn of the year.
Bridgeman, it's an old famous cliche, but it's not how you start a season, it's how you finish it. And if we can go on a run now between the end of the season in the league and in the cup, then we come away successful, which again, to keep going over it, saying it's remarkable is an understatement, but it just shows you that the players can do it. To this point, it is now about just getting over the line. And as Stevie Smith said, that the squad will need the fans will need the players. It's a whole collective, and we'll see where it takes us. But first and foremost, got to go and play Queen's Park. Yes, it's a lesser opponent, but you've still got to respect them and respect the competition and go and win the game.
Yeah, 100%. And we're going to do that with every game, but particularly this weekend. It's coming. It's going to hit us. We've got some new players, and somewhere along the line, these new players have got to get a game and get some time. And that's why I say put the best team out we can, the strongest team, go out there, score the number of goals as required, get us in the lead, and then you can start changing. The manager can relax, start changing the players around. And obviously we don't want them to lose any goals, so we should be able to do this. It's not rocket science. It's about how to play football. I think it was you, Robert, was saying that we've been in had some lucky runs or a good run. We had a good run until a couple of weeks ago there when we ended up dropping 2 points, and that's got to stop. We can't stick our foot up the pedal at all. We've got to be on the pedal all the time and everybody up for the game. Otherwise, you will drop points. We can't afford that. We need to be able to go up there and get to a certain level and stay at it, if not improve. That's what we need. We need to do it, and everybody knows it. I know I'm preaching to converted. We have to do it, and then we got a great chance of winning this league. But the next 4 games, I think it is, the next 4 games, win them, and by the doors are only open for us. They will open for us, that's for sure.
Billy, you gave us your team, and 2 players that myself and AK didn't have in the team is Gassama and Asgard. They've had their critics over a number of weeks. Would you be surprised to see Danny Rowell put them in this game? because it's a lesser opponent for them to try and get some confidence, or would you be expecting them to be on the bench for the new guys to get some minutes?
Oh, you're playing, you're doing an Oxford, you're playing a devil's advocate,
Indeed.
Listen, it's how long's a bit of string? You know, it all depends who's performing in training. You know, that's how you're meant to, if you perform in training all week, and then you get your chance on a Saturday, you know, and you play well, then you keep the jersey. And then you go to the next week and you perform well again at training again, and you play well in the next game, you keep the jersey. That's how it works. If you go and train all week hard and you're doing well, and then you get a shot at the jersey at the weekend and you don't perform, then somebody else is standing there ready to take your jersey off you, and it's up to them to keep the jersey. You know, so if you're asking me, the form of Asgard and what do you call him, Gasman, on the form, Sama, on the form that they're showing now, then they wouldn't be starting for me on Sunday in the cup game, mate. So I wouldn't play the two of them. That's the reason I wouldn't play them. I wouldn't be worried about confidence, because they've had umpteen chances to go out there and perform, you know. So I wouldn't start them. I mean, AK will get a wee laugh here. I seen you were on at the Rangers podcast the day I was watching it myself with Charlie Miller and that, and I dropped Charlie a wee question. One of the questions was, do you think that Asgard has underestimated Scottish football, or he's just no up to, he's no grasped the speed of it yet? You know, that was one of the questions I asked Charlie Adam, and Charlie Adam gave a great response to it. Eh?
Charlie Miller, Billy.
Sorry, Charlie Miller. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up, mate. Charlie Miller, be Charlie Miller.
Good podcast, though, eh?
It's a good podcast, mate. Charlie Miller, you know, he gave us a good answer, like, you know. So, but on form, you can't play the two, you know, in that game. You could say, listen, you can play them, and then say to yourself, well, you know, they're only playing against Queen's Park. But to me, they should be blooding these other players in and gain them experience and getting them up to some sort of match fitness, because they're got to be needed to the end of this season. Because even though we've only got the Scottish Cup, we've got near European football left, so got to be, you know, Saturday type thing, or Sunday, whatever it is. You know, that's what it's got to be. And all these players, every one of the players in that Rangers pool, every one of them's got to be needed at some period at the time, some period during the season. So they've got to be make sure when they're getting that opportunity, they're ready to go and perform.
AK, same question to yourself. Would you be surprised if Donegal selected them as a confidence booster, or would you be expecting them to, as Billy says, breed these new guys in?
To be honest with you, mate, I trust Daniel. Whatever he thinks is best for the players and for the team, I would go with it. I wouldn't question it. Of course, there'll be grumbles if you see Gassama and Asgard's name on it. People will think, why are they still in there? But it's his decision. He sees them in training every day. He knows their mentality. He knows if they're feeling a wee bit vulnerable, or they're not feeling up to it, or the pressure of the situation's getting too much for it. Well, fine, take them out then. But it's really run about kind of man management of the players and the situation at the time. Personally, I go down the standards route. I'm kind of old school with you, Billy. See if somebody's not doing it in a jersey out there, and there's somebody good or better than you being brought in, particularly when we're forking out money. Well, sorry, you throw the guys a jersey and see how they go on, because Asgard and Gassama have had plenty of minutes to show what they can bring to the table. And if they're not producing it, when they've got new guys in the building, that should be a wee kickstart. See if I'm in that position and seeing somebody else wanting my position in the team, that should be enough to give you a kick up the backside and say, hey, I need to play better here to keep this jersey. But if they're still showing it and they're not good enough, and the crowd's starting to grumble a wee bit and that, then sometimes you need to go, nah, sorry, pal, you've had plenty of opportunity. there. We've brought in new guys to bolster our strength in the squad and just utilise the squad as best as possible.
It's simple for me, guys. Again, I've said I don't think the team will be much different from the team that ended the game on Wednesday night at Ibrox. For me, it's simply because Skov Olsen, Antman contributed more off the bench. Moore put in a man-of-match performance than what Gassama or Asgard showed in their period of time on the pitch. So you've had 3 players contribute more in the pivotal area of the final third. That's been an area of concern. And they've came on in a cameo and impacted the game, whether it be a goal or assist. So I think that for me, I know they've got to get up to speed with things with Antman coming back from injury. Skov Olsen still trying to find his feet, but to start the game, I think that's my 3 and that kind of behind the striker, simply because they've contributed more than Asgard and Gassama's done the past few weeks. But as you say, AK, the manager will pick a team that he thinks will go and win the game. He'll use the bench wisely, rotate the squad where necessary, and ultimately get through into the next round. Billy, final word from yourself, mates, before we wrap up the show.
Hey, Bob, thanks for taking my call. I'd just like to correct myself on a couple of mistakes tonight, folks, just in case. It was Dijon Sterling. I was actually talking about big mustard, no Brahim Sterling, and it's Charlie Miller and no Charlie Adam. So I'm just going to correct myself here, lads. Apologies. So, listen, thanks very much for taking my call. Looking forward to the game on Sunday now, and I'm going to take a wee punt on the Rangers. Maybe this on paper, I'm in between 5 and 7. I'm going for a right drubbing on Sunday, lads, at the weekend. 7-0 to Rangers for me. 7. Can hear all the folk going tonto the new, eh? 7-0 to the Bears.
Billy, any horses for the weekend?
Aye.
Just in case the Super 6 does the stop.
Aye. Yes, I have, mate. Yes, I have.
Good then.
Well, are you sure?
Oh, put it out there. It's worth a 5 spot, surely.
What's that, sorry?
It's worth a 5 spot. Put it out there.
Oh, dearie dear. See, I'll get crucified for this, right? But Bully Boy, you've got Southside Super 6 and you've got Bully Boy's Tip. It's running tomorrow. 3.55 at Newbury. Captain Bellamy. 92 your cash. £10 gives you AK. £55.
When you go, what was that again? 3.55 at where? Newbury.
Newbury.
And it's
Captain Bellamy.
Captain Bellamy. Good luck, pal. Anyway.
So if you put a £5 on that and a £5 on the Super 6, you're wasting a tenner. Is that what you're saying, Billy?
No, that's a cracking double, by the way. What was Southside's double? Sorry, what was Southside's price?
22 to 1.
22 to 1.
So right. a fiver double on Southside's team, and you throw that horse in and all, you're getting what, a fiver? That's what, 20 to 1, £100 at 92. £550 for your fiver, Blue Noses.
There you go. On you go, Billy.
So, listen, didn't crucify me, by the way, lads, and my horse wins. Brilliant. I didn't crucify me, lads. If my horse wins in Southside Super 6, lets the troops down, So, anyway, thanks for taking my call, lads. Brilliant. Good night.
Cheers, Billy. And if that comes in, mate, we'll enjoy your holiday when you book it.
No bother, lads. Good night.
Good night.
Cheers, Billy.
AK.
Oh, great show tonight, Rob. Really enjoyed that. Enjoyed Billy's call there to the legend that is Bridge. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. So on to the weekend. Have a good weekend, but come on, the Rangers. And I'll be going, I think we'll go 5 or 6. I think we'll top by Queen's Park. Make a wee statement there. And I think Nadiri could get off the mark with a hat-trick.
Oh, get the odds on that checked as well, mate. Could be a double holiday.
A busman's holiday.
Cheers, mate. Always appreciated. Final word, the legend, Mr. Bridgeman.
Oh, Robert, absolutely fantastic night tonight. Great discussions. I hope I never bored everybody too much, but I feel very strongly about some of the stuff that's going on. However, I thoroughly enjoyed it. AK carried me through it. Thank you very much, AK, and of course Robert for doing it, and the techie boys in the background. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world, massive game Sunday, biggest game of the season, and this is a must-win for Rangers. I'm going for 1-0. Keep it going for Rangers every day. Keep it going.
Never changes the scoreline, does he, AK? Always a Bridgeman, sticking to his guns.
Aye, quite right. Well done, Bridge.
Cheers, Bridge. Always appreciated, mate. Good to do a show with yourself and AK. Listen, can I just thank AK and Bridge for doing the show with myself, Billy for phoning in, Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals, and of course everybody out there on Facebook, YouTube and MixLR for listening to the show. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back on Sunday at 1 PM for a pre-match show as we look ahead to Rangers versus Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, enjoy your weekend, and we'll hear from you on Sunday. Take it away, Old School Blue.